Good morning, folks. It was an amazing day for seismic events. Big earthquakes struck, including one in California that confirms the earthquake forecasting model works for the Cascadia fault zone. Let's get started over at spaceweathernews.com, where the last 24 hours on our star appear much calmer than when the filaments were erupting off the limb earlier in the week. Brightest sunspot area departing on the right. Solar flaring remains dismally low as that sunspot heads out of view and a blank disk stares down the Earth. But space weather is still worth watching as the solar wind intensified even further yesterday. We're now on a solid coronal hole stream, but Earth's magnetic shield is holding nicely here, even if they took a major storm condition over Europe last night, mostly localized and short-lived. The big coronal hole still faced Earth yesterday as its solar wind arrived. We've been talking about the quake watch being enhanced by CME coupling, and also with one of the primary quake makers running up within 24 hours, the heliocentric opposition of Earth and Saturn. It was December 6th when we first noted California was getting ready, as foreshock signatures were cropping up, and the next day, December 7th, a tiny alert zone pops up near the Mendocino Junction, and it's red, along with the other alert zone in China, while the normally active alert areas along the Ring of Fire took orange alerts at best. Remember, yesterday it was China that rocked as it faced the sun while the solar wind arrived, and yesterday morning, December 8th, as more solar wind arrived and the sun began facing the United States, the alert expanded from the Mendocino Junction up through the Cascadia zone. Folks, this is the first magnitude 6 or higher earthquake forecasted in the United States. San Andreas is still a question mark for the model, but it clearly worked for Cascadia. The note was made 48 hours early. The official watch began 24 hours before the earthquake and 3 hours before we expanded that alert zone as energy was clearly pouring in. But then, seemingly out of nowhere, a magnitude 7.8 struck the Solomon Islands. Amazingly, there was no major tsunami and no major damage from this or the California quake. So folks, this is our 4 alert zones posted for that first half of December 8th. Now, let's see the 4 primary earthquake zones for that time period. 2 of the 4 weren't strong enough to count in the model, China and Chile, and only 1 of the other 2 hit the alert zone officially. The miss was very close. Unfortunately, that Solomon Islands one was the biggest one. And as we come to having both on the same page, the alert zones and white stars for the biggest quakes, you see it began with the China 5.9 that we saw yesterday morning, more relevant than predicting a 6.5 in many places of the Ring of Fire. And again, only 1 of those top 2 red lines could face the sun when the streams arrived, but they kept coming after the China quake, and as they struck, daylight was coming to the United States, and California took their rumble. The low mark of the day is that Solomon Islands miss. The quake was too far east to count in our alert zone. But when you add in the South American quakes, you have to step back and look at something that can't be quantified. Statistics don't do it justice. You can't publish it. You just have to have working eyes, and I'll trust that you see what just happened yesterday. There's more planetary geometry set to ramp up CME activity in the coming week or so. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are all vying for the resonance across similar heliographic longitudes. Folks, winter might as well be here in the north because it sure feels like it. Record snow earlier this week and more is expected. Down here in the high desert, the mornings are incredibly cold upon the western mesa. It's just starting to get bad now, and Al Gore's nemesis, record cold, is coming in the mix as well. Folks, the next chance to hear the full forecasting method details to the same level of detail that has let high schoolers I know begin to predict earthquakes is Observing the Frontier 2017 in Albuquerque. To learn more about the earthquake forecasting model and the full list of predictions and results, head over to quakewatch.net. Right now, we've got your pressure and radar forecast followed by shots of our star to close. It's 4:25 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.